Hello! It's Rebecca, and despite this video being super late, I still wanted to show you my setup for July in this video. At the beginning of this month, I went to see Stray Kids in concert at their Chicago stop, so when I was planning for July, I wanted to choose a song by Stray Kids. I chose the song Sunshine, which is one of their first songs I ever listened to, and it also fits very well for the summer. On the cover, I started by lettering the word July. I used a Tombow dual brush pen of a lighter orange. After, I took a darker orange and added the color to the tops of the letters before going back to the lighter orange and blending them together. In all honesty, the oranges that I chose were too close in color, so the transition between the two didn't really show up very well on camera. Regardless, after I was done, I started on the sun, which is the focus of the page. I drew 3 circles as guidelines and colored the smallest circle fully in yellow. I did add a slight shadow to the right and bottom side of the circle, but after that I took different shades of yellow and orange markers to draw the rays coming from the sun. I started with 12 lines that reached to the largest circle, and then in between each of those rays I drew a smaller line going to the second ring within the circle. When I was drawing the lines for the rays, I didn't do full lines and had some of them broken up, which I actually liked better. Compared to the usual drawing heavy covers I do, this one was quite refreshing because it was very simple. I did end up going back to the title and adding some gold pen to it, but you'll see that part later. Moving on to the song lyrics for the next page, I decided to choose some of the translated lyrics from the chorus. They read, "Sitting under a shade with good sunlight, close your eyes, look at me for a moment." Putting it into context, the song talks about stepping away from the busy city, so reading those lyrics put an image in my head of being on a swing under the shade of the tree, and I decided to draw just that. I decided to make the background a sunset because sunsets are one of my favorite things. But I put the tree with the swing by some water in order to capture the serene feeling that I would get from getting away from the city like the song is talking about. I'm also very proud of the fact that this was one of the songs to get me into Stray Kids, and my favorite member Han was the one who wrote the lyrics and helped to compose it. I have so much respect for the fact that Stray Kids writes their own music, and that is definitely part of the reason that I got into them. I started by using a brush, but instead of paint, I used ink from my Tombow markers on the page. It didn't work out too well, and I didn't like how the edges just looked smudged, so I ended up outlining the tree and the swing with a Tombow later. However, I did continue with the paintbrush to color in the tree trunk a bit, which later just became texture for the tree. Then for the background, I took out my sponge brushes from my bullet journal setup in March. I wanted to get a kind of blended background, but the sponges had a different mind and ended up looking a bit messy, so for the sun I just drew the main lines with the Tombow, but used the sponge to blend out the sunset look behind it. I used a combo of orange and yellow around the sun and then transitioned out to a blue for the sky. I left some empty white space in the blue for where there would be some clouds. While I was contemplating on what to do with the image, I ended up taking a Tombow and doing quick flicks with the brush side to add grass to the bottom of the image. I ended up doing the grass with 3 different shades of green for some depth, and the natural layering of the marker made the grass look really good. To be honest, if I had to pick my favorite part of the drawing for this page, it would definitely be how the grass turned out. Before finishing the grass though, I took a break to use a light brown to color in the tree. This allowed you to see the texture from the paintbrush, but it also filled in the emptiness left from the brush. I also took a light yellow and blue to fill in the sky a bit more. Overall, I have to say that this is not my best piece of art, but I still somehow feel like it came together in the end. I know I often have the urge to just give up when something isn't turning out like how I wanted it to, but I think this drawing is living proof that trusting the process can work out. After taking off the tape around the image, I took a gold pen to outline the corners around the drawing, and then since I had the pen, I took the opportunity to add gold to the letters from the cover page, as well as to make the sun in the drawing gold. I also added some white to be like highlights from the sun, but they were barely noticeable. Instead, I used a brown marker and just wrote the lyrics. I kind of eyeballed where to place them, and they ended up looking pretty good on the image. On the monthly, I, for whatever reason, decided that coloring the entire page was a good idea, so I started with drawing the boxes for each day in the gold pen. The idea for this spread is that the page will be filled with sunshine by drawing the sun rays. I started with a half circle at the bottom of the page and colored it in. I took a short break to letter July on the top of the page, and you're actually able to see the blending of the colors a bit better here. Then I switched between different shades of yellow and orange for each of the sun rays. I tried to keep the lines and colors symmetrical around the center of the spread and kept some space in between each of the rays. Once the page was filled with color, I added gold and a drop shadow to the lettering at the top and also numbered each of the squares with the correct date. Even though coloring was kind of tedious, it was mindless enough that it was easy to do while listening to music and helped me to relax. For the weekly, I have to say that I am not super proud of this one, but I can say it is definitely one of the easiest possible weekly setups ever. Like the previous pages, I started by lettering July on the top of the page and blending it. Then I divided each of the sides into 3 columns, but split the rightmost column into 2 for the weekend. I alternated between the bottom and top of the columns to draw 7 sundoodles of different styles. With the gold pen, I outlined each of the sections for the days of the week and added the gold detailing to the header. Then I just added the dates inside each of the sundoodles. It still felt very plain to me, so to add a bit more to the header, I added some lines like sun rays around it. And that was it. Again, very simple. As we get to the final flip through of this July theme, I think that it very accurately captured the theme of sunshine inspired by the Stray Kids song. Although I do have to say that while I was in the middle of drawing all of the suns, it reminded me of 17's most recent album, Face the Sun. As you know, I am a big fan of 17, so I am very excited to share that I will be front row on the floor for one of 17's concerts. I will do my very best to vlog my barricade experience, but I also just want to enjoy the concert being that close. I know that there are a couple of other vlogs I've promised, so you can definitely keep up with me on my social media to see when they will be posted. With that, I wish you happy days. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!